Think Christmas appetizers are all about cheese platters and veggie trays? Think again. Back in the 1970s, holiday spreads were bold, bizarre, and brimming with creativity. These forgotten appetizers tell the story of America during the 1970s, a golden age of experimentation and nostalgia. Today, we're diving into 20 famous appetizers from the 1970s that have faded into history. Christmas appetizers from the 1970s were the life of the party, combining bold flavors with eye-catching presentations. Some are still around in modernized forms, but many have vanished into history. Today, we're bringing them back, one retro appetizer at a time. Lobster Thermidor. A luxurious dish with origins in 19th century France, Lobster Thermidor gained fame in America in the 1960s and continued its popularity through the early 1970s. As an appetizer, it was served in small ramekins or inside the lobster shell itself, making it perfect for elegant Christmas parties. The dish featured lobster meat simmered in a creamy bechamel sauce, infused with white wine and cognac, then topped with melted cheese. Its preparation was often reserved for special occasions, reflecting the sense of indulgence that defined Christmas celebrations during this period. The popularity of Lobster Thermidor soared during the golden age of old Hollywood-inspired Christmas gatherings, where glitz and glamour were paramount. For baby boomers, serving this dish signaled sophistication and a nod to the culinary influences of Europe. It was often paired with vintage wines, adding to its luxurious appeal. However, its decline came as simpler, less time-consuming recipes became favored in the 1980s. Today, Lobster Thermidor is remembered fondly as a symbol of 20th century opulence and American nostalgia, evoking memories of lavish holiday feasts from the golden age of entertaining. Its legacy endures in retro cookbooks and the vivid recollections of those lucky enough to experience it during the festive splendor of Christmas in the 1970s. Mary's Christmas Shrimp Tree. Debuting in the late 1960s and becoming a must-have centerpiece in the 1970s, Mary's Christmas Shrimp Tree captured the creative spirit of baby boomer households. This retro appetizer combined practicality with festive flair. Shrimp cocktail skewers arranged in the shape of a Christmas tree, often on a foam cone covered with foil. Garnished with cherry tomatoes, parsley, and even olives, it doubled as both decor and a delicious treat. Inspired by the photo spreads in vintage magazines and old commercials, it became a hallmark of Christmas appetizers from the 1970s, symbolizing the era's love for elaborate displays. Baby boomers embraced it as a way to dazzle guests, pairing it with cocktails and other seafood delicacies like smoked oysters. Though its popularity waned, Gen X kids growing up in the 1980s remember these quirky creations from family gatherings, often immortalized in family photo albums. Today, it's a nostalgic reminder of a golden age in American holiday entertaining, blending kitsch and creativity in equal measure. Bacon-wrapped Smokies. Bacon-wrapped Smokies were the ultimate crowd pleaser at Christmas parties during the 1970s. These bite-sized sausages, often referred to as Little Smokies, were wrapped in crispy, caramelized bacon and baked to perfection. Their sweet and savory flavor profile, enhanced by a brown sugar glaze, made them an irresistible addition to holiday spreads. This appetizer was a favorite among baby boomers as it combined two quintessential American flavors, smoky sausage and crispy bacon. The simplicity of the recipe also made it a go-to choice for busy hosts during the golden age of entertaining. The dish gained popularity in the 1960s and reached its peak in the 1970s, as cocktail party culture embraced finger foods that were both delicious and easy to serve. These Smokies were often presented on vintage holiday platters alongside other appetizers from the era, like cheese balls and rumaki. Guests would eagerly pluck them from the tray with toothpicks, their retro charm complemented by festive holiday decor and the sounds of classic Christmas rock and roll. Still, for those longing for a taste of old America, these savory bites bring back memories of warmth, laughter, and retro holiday cheer. Christmas Tree Cheese Ball. The Christmas Tree Cheese Ball first appeared in the early 1970s as an upgrade to the classic cheese ball popular in the 1950s and 1960s. Shaped like a festive tree and decorated with chopped nuts, parsley, and pimentos. This dish was both functional and decorative, doubling as a centerpiece for holiday spreads. Made with cream cheese, cheddar, and sometimes pineapple for sweetness, it became a staple in suburban holiday parties, embodying the playful creativity of the era. Its design was often inspired by old photo albums and vintage party trends that celebrated whimsical presentations. The trend aligned with the rise of baby boomers hosting elaborate, picture-perfect gatherings inspired by vintage holiday commercials and retro food advertisements. Guests would often rave about its appearance before diving in, making it a conversation starter during nostalgic rock and roll-filled evenings. Though cheese balls still exist, this Christmas-specific version has largely faded into history, remembered fondly by those who grew up during America's golden age of festive entertaining. Sausage balls. First making waves in Southern households in the 1960s, sausage balls became a national Christmas appetizer in the 1970s thanks to their simplicity and hearty flavor. Combining sausage, cheddar cheese, and biscuit, these savory bites were easy to prepare in large batches, making them ideal for both casual gatherings and formal holiday spreads. Their golden, crispy texture and rich, cheesy interior were an instant hit among baby boomers hosting festive parties. Perfect for feeding crowds at family gatherings, they embodied the warm, communal spirit of old America during the holidays. Sausage balls were often served alongside retro Christmas classics like eggnog, fruitcake, and tomato aspic, creating a nostalgic food spread that felt uniquely 20th century. They also became a favorite among Gen X children, who fondly remember sneaking extra bites from the kitchen while watching old movies and holiday specials. Though they've endured over the decades, their popularity peaked in the 1970s, capturing a moment when simple, comforting foods reigned supreme. Aspic Mold. Aspic molds had their heyday from the 1930s to the 1970s, but they were especially popular during the Christmas season in the 1970s. These gelatin-based creations, often filled with vegetables, seafood, or meats, were prized for their aesthetic appeal, taking center stage at holiday tables. Tomato aspic, in particular, became a festive choice for its bright red hue, aligning perfectly with holiday decor and adding a splash of color to traditional Christmas spreads. Baby boomers brought these creations to holiday parties, influenced by the sophisticated presentations seen in old magazines and cookbooks where perfectly molded dishes symbolized elegance. Aspic molds were not just food, they were edible art that reflected the meticulous attention to detail valued during the golden age of entertaining. However, as culinary trends shifted toward more natural presentations and simpler preparations, aspic molds fell out of favor, becoming a nostalgic relic of retro holiday gatherings. Crab Rangoon. Crab Rangoon, a blend of cream cheese and crab meat wrapped in crispy wontons, became a surprising hit at Christmas parties in the 1970s. Originally introduced in tiki bars during the mid-20th century, this appetizer gained traction as Chinese-American cuisine grew in popularity. Served with sweet and sour sauce for dipping, it appealed to adventurous baby boomers eager to incorporate global flavors into their holiday menus. The deep-fried golden exterior contrasted perfectly with the creamy filling, creating a satisfying bite that was both indulgent and refreshing. Its retro appeal lies in its unique blend of creamy, crispy, and savory elements, offering a delightful contrast to the more traditional holiday foods like meatballs and cheese platters. The dish also gained recognition thanks to the rise of Chinese-American restaurants in the U.S., where it was seen as a fusion of Western and Eastern culinary traditions. While Crab Rangoon remains a restaurant favorite today, its presence at Christmas gatherings has mostly faded into history, with only a few nostalgic hosts keeping the tradition alive. Cocktail meatballs. Cocktail meatballs, often glazed in grape jelly or cranberry sauce, were a holiday classic that originated in the 1960s and hit their peak in the 1970s. The blend of sweet and savory flavors made them an irresistible appetizer for Christmas parties across America, perfectly balancing indulgence with simplicity. These meatballs were a symbol of convenience cooking, appealing to busy families during the baby boomer era, when frozen foods and pre-made sauces were revolutionizing home kitchens. Served in vintage crockpots or chafing dishes, they became a centerpiece of Christmas buffets, often accompanied by retro cocktails like rum punch or whiskey sours. They were a crowd pleaser, their aroma filling homes decorated with tinsel and glowing lights, as the sounds of rock and roll or old Christmas classics played on vinyl. Today, cocktail meatballs remain a nostalgic favorite, evoking memories of warm gatherings and cherished traditions during the golden age of holiday celebrations in 20th century America. Egg rolls. Egg rolls, crispy and golden on the outside with savory fillings inside, became a beloved addition to Christmas party menus during the 1970s. Although they have roots in Chinese-American cuisine dating back to the early 20th century, they gained widespread appeal in the golden age of entertaining, when baby boomers sought to bring global flavors to their holiday spreads. Typically filled with a mix of shredded cabbage, carrots, pork, or shrimp, egg rolls offered a satisfying crunch and a flavorful punch that paired perfectly with sweet and sour or spicy mustard dipping sauces. Their portable size and versatility made them a hit at cocktail parties, where guests could easily enjoy them without needing utensils. The rise of frozen and pre-made egg rolls in the 1970s also played a role in their popularity, as convenience foods became a hallmark of the era's holiday hosting. Egg rolls added a touch of exotic flair to menus otherwise dominated by traditional American appetizers. Today, while egg rolls remain a popular takeout item, their status as a Christmas appetizer has largely faded into history, evoking memories of the baby boomers' adventurous culinary spirit during America's golden age of holiday entertaining. Crab-stuffed mushrooms. Crab-stuffed mushrooms became a sought-after delicacy in the early 1970s, blending elegance with comfort. These appetizers featured large mushroom caps filled with a rich mixture of crab meat, breadcrumbs, cream cheese, and spices, then baked until golden and aromatic. They were a hallmark of upscale Christmas parties, reflecting the influence of French-inspired cooking trends that had seeped into American kitchens during the 1960s. Baby boomers, eager to impress their guests, often prepared these alongside other seafood-centric dishes like Lobster Thermidor. The dish was not only a feast for the taste buds, but also a visual treat, often garnished with parsley or a sprinkle of paprika for that festive touch. Vintage cookbooks and photo albums from the golden age of holiday entertaining frequently showcase these as the perfect blend of luxury and nostalgia. While the labor involved in making them led to their decline in the 1980s, crab-stuffed mushrooms remain a nostalgic nod to a time when indulgence defined holiday gatherings, bringing memories of the golden age of Christmas appetizers into sharp focus. Bacon-wrapped liver. Bacon-wrapped liver was a bold, savory appetizer that peaked in popularity during the late 1960s and 1970s. While chicken livers were the preferred choice, some recipes also used calf or beef liver for a richer taste. The bacon served two purposes, adding smoky flavor and masking the stronger taste of the liver, making it more palatable for party guests. Often served at sophisticated gatherings, this appetizer reflected the adventurous culinary spirit of old America, when bold flavors were embraced. Though it has largely disappeared from Christmas menus, it remains a symbol of the experimental approach to appetizers during the golden age of holiday entertaining. Tomato aspic. Tomato aspic, a savory gelatin dish, gained popularity in the 1940s but found its festive niche in the 1970s as a Christmas appetizer. Made with tomato juice, gelatin, and a mix of spices, it was often poured into decorative molds and served chilled. The bright red color made it a visually striking addition to holiday spreads, sometimes garnished with celery, olives, or even shrimp. This dish captured the post-war fascination with gelatin-based recipes, bolstered by the influence of old commercials showcasing Jell-O's versatility. While its popularity faded in the 1980s, tomato aspic is remembered fondly as a retro relic of Christmases past. Spinach dip. Spinach dip, often served in a hollowed-out bread bowl, emerged as a holiday party staple in the 1970s. Its creamy base, made with sour cream, mayonnaise, and dried vegetable soup mix, was the epitome of convenience, a key appeal for baby boomers hosting large gatherings. The dish became synonymous with retro Christmas parties, where it was surrounded by cubes of bread for dipping. Spinach dip's vibrant green color added a festive touch, making it a favorite among appetizers from the 1970s. It became so iconic that it occasionally appears at modern holiday tables, evoking a wave of nostalgia for simpler, cozier celebrations. Salmon Mousse. Salmon Mousse, a creamy, delicate appetizer made with smoked or canned salmon, was a sophisticated favorite at Christmas parties during the 1970s. This dish embodied the growing trend of elegant yet simple appetizers that defined the golden age of American holiday dining. Often prepared with a base of cream cheese, mayonnaise, and lemon juice, the mousse was blended until smooth and served chilled, typically garnished with fresh dill or capers for an added burst of flavor. The mousse was spread on crackers or toasted bread, offering a rich, savory bite that delighted guests seeking something a little more refined. Salmon mousse's popularity also coincided with the 1970s growing interest in seafood dishes, a trend influenced by the post-war rise of health-conscious eating. This appetizer was often included in elaborate party trays, sitting alongside favorites like shrimp cocktail or crab-stuffed mushrooms. Salmon, being relatively accessible in canned form, made this dish affordable while still retaining an air of elegance. The dish found its place in vintage cookbooks and holiday advertisements, which often depicted family gatherings where such sophisticated fare was central to the celebration. Smoked eel. Smoked eel, a delicacy with European roots, found its way onto American Christmas tables during the 1970s. With its rich, smoky flavor and velvety texture, it was often served on crackers with a dab of horseradish or cream cheese. While not as ubiquitous as other appetizers from the 1970s, it held special appeal in coastal areas and among food enthusiasts eager to explore global flavors. This dish symbolized the growing influence of international cuisines on American holiday traditions, particularly during a time when travel and cultural exchange were celebrated. Smoked eel was often featured in retro magazines and old commercials that promoted gourmet holiday fare, making it feel like a luxury addition to festive spreads. Today, it now exists mainly as a memory in photo albums of vintage Christmas spreads, embodying the adventurous culinary spirit of America during the 20th century. Spicy party nuts. Spicy party nuts were a crowd pleaser in the 1970s, offering a sweet and savory crunch that complemented festive cocktails. Made by roasting nuts, often pecans, walnuts, or almonds, with a mix of spices, sugar, and sometimes cayenne pepper, they were a hit among baby boomers hosting casual holiday gatherings. This appetizer embodied the DIY spirit of old America, when homemakers took pride in preparing snacks that felt both personal and indulgent. Packaged in glass jars, they also made popular homemade gifts during the Christmas season. Today, their rich aroma and warm flavors instantly transport those who remember them back to the golden age of holiday entertaining. Olive puffs. Olive puffs, introduced in the 1960s, became a staple Christmas appetizer in the 1970s for their unique flavor and elegant presentation. These small pastries featured tangy green or black olives wrapped in flaky, buttery dough, often with a hint of cheddar cheese. The balance of savory olives and rich, melt-in-your-mouth dough made them a standout at holiday parties. Their compact size made them perfect finger food for holiday cocktail parties, where guests could enjoy them while mingling. The recipe's simplicity appealed to the busy baby boomer generation, offering a delicious yet easy-to-make snack. The retro vibe of serving something different added a touch of sophistication and novelty to the Christmas spread. Olive puffs were often featured in holiday magazines, appearing in vintage food advertisements that promised the perfect bite-sized treat for entertaining. Though their popularity waned by the 1980s, olive puffs remain a nostalgic favorite for those who remember the golden age of Christmas appetizers. Eggnog Dip. Eggnog Dip brought a creative twist to one of the most iconic holiday beverages of the 20th century. Popularized in the 1970s, this dip combined the creamy, spiced flavors of eggnog with whipped cream cheese, making it perfect for dipping fruit, cookies, or even gingerbread. It was a festive addition to dessert tables at Christmas parties, appealing to the sweet tooth of baby boomers and Gen X kids alike. This unique appetizer captured the playful experimentation of holiday cuisine during America's golden age, blending nostalgia with innovation. While largely forgotten today, it remains a cherished memory for those who celebrated Christmas in the 1970s. Cheese fondue. Cheese fondue was the epitome of communal dining in the 1970s, making it a beloved centerpiece for Christmas celebrations. This melted cheese dish, served in a heated pot and paired with bite-sized pieces of bread, vegetables, or even apples, brought people together in a way that felt intimate and celebratory. Imported from Swiss tradition, fondue gained popularity in America during the 1960s, fueled by the baby boomer fascination with international cuisine. By the 1970s, it was a Christmas staple, often accompanied by vintage photo albums and the sounds of retro holiday music. The golden age of fondue faded by the 1980s as trends shifted, but its rich flavors and social charm remain a nostalgic memory for many. Nutty Puppy Chow. Nutty Puppy Chow, also known as Muddy Buddies, became a festive treat in the late 1970s. While more of a sweet snack than a traditional appetizer, it often graced Christmas tables during family gatherings. Made by coating cereal squares in melted chocolate, peanut butter, and powdered sugar, this no-bake recipe was a favorite among baby boomers looking for quick, kid-friendly holiday treats. The addition of nuts, pecans, or almonds gave it a savory twist, appealing to adults as well. This dish reflected the retro charm of American holiday cooking during the 20th century, blending convenience with indulgence. Today, it serves as a nostalgic reminder of the simpler joys of Christmas in old America. Grandma's stuffed celery. Stuffed celery was a holiday appetizer that transcended decades but saw its peak during the 1970s. Known affectionately as Grandma's stuffed celery, it featured celery sticks filled with cream cheese, peanut butter, or pimento cheese, often garnished with paprika or chopped nuts. This simple, nostalgic dish was a favorite of baby boomers and Gen X children alike, offering a crunchy, savory bite to balance out the richness of other appetizers. It was a reminder of old America's thrifty yet creative culinary spirit, often passed down through handwritten recipes tucked away in family photo albums. Though less common today, it's a beloved relic of 20th century holiday gatherings. Candied Pecans. Candied pecans became a cherished holiday treat in the 1970s, their sweet, spiced aroma filling homes as they roasted in the oven. Coated in a mix of sugar, cinnamon, and a hint of nutmeg, these pecans were both a snack and a festive decoration, often placed in vintage candy dishes on coffee tables. Baby boomers appreciated their versatility, serving them as appetizers, dessert accents, or even homemade gifts. Their popularity tied into America's nostalgia for simple, heartwarming foods during the Christmas season, reflecting the era's love for homemade touches. As families gathered around the tree or fireplace, candied pecans became a signature offering that signified togetherness. Today, the scent of candied pecans can instantly evoke memories of cozy gatherings during the golden age of holiday traditions, reminding us of a simpler, more charming time. Crudité Platters. Crudité Platters, a colorful assortment of fresh, raw vegetables served with dips, were a staple at Christmas parties during the 1970s. These platters were not only visually appealing, but also a refreshing contrast to the heavier, richer dishes that dominated holiday spreads. Popular vegetables included crisp celery sticks, carrot slices, cherry tomatoes, radishes, and bell pepper strips, often arranged in intricate designs that showcase the retro flair of the golden age of entertaining. Baby boomers embraced crudité platters as a health-conscious option, reflecting the rising interest in fresh and natural foods during the latter half of the 20th century. The dips that accompanied these platters were just as important as the vegetables themselves. Classics like ranch dressing, onion dip, or even spinach dip added bold flavors that elevated the simple presentation. Crudité platters were also incredibly versatile, allowing hosts to cater to various dietary preferences while keeping preparation relatively simple. This appetizer became a favorite of Gen X children, who often snacked on these platters while their parents mingled at holiday parties. The bright colors and crisp textures made them an inviting addition to the retro photo albums of Christmas gatherings in America during the 1970s. And that's a wrap on the Christmas appetizers from the 1970s that have faded into history. Which of these retro dishes brought back memories for you, or would you love to see on holiday tables again? Don't forget to subscribe for more nostalgic trips through the old glory days.